afternoon, everyone. I hope you can see me and hear me well. I'm really sorry for last time. I think there were some issues related to Wi-Fi connection and sound. I don't know the reason, but hopefully this time is going to be better. If you cannot hear or if you cannot see, so please maybe tell us or write in a comment so that we can resolve the issue somehow. Or maybe I should scream. I think my voice is loud enough, but if it's not, so tell me. So here we are in the end of January, and last time we met, it was the last meeting of 2022. Now we have the first meeting of 2023, and I hope you're all well. I hope you are healthy, and I hope your practice is going well too. In Japan, here we have I think the peak, at least here in Tokyo, of cold. So as you might know, in Japan, it's at least here in the central region, there are no heaters. There is no central heating in houses. So either you have air conditioning or you have like small stoves, or oil heaters. But it's actually cold. So in the morning, for example, in my room, it's 4 degrees. So it's really cold. Especially my head is really cold sometimes. But I think the coldness will be gone soon, and then I'm really waiting for the blossom of Japanese apricot, which is really beautiful, and the fragrance is very, very beautiful. So it's the first sign of spring coming, I think in 2 or 3 weeks. And then in March, we are going to have the cherry blossoms here in different part of Japan. So we have to still practice patience for a while until spring. Actually, yesterday I was talking to my friend who has been practicing Zen for maybe, I don't know, he's much older than me, about 60 I think, or 62 or 63, and he has lived in France, although he's not French, but he has been living in France for most of his life. And especially recently, he has been really sort of critical. He developed this kind of critical approach to everything that we might call form. And as you know, well, in different Buddhist traditions, of course, in all Buddhist traditions, we have this or that form to respect, to follow how you move and how you sit, etc. But when you sort of have a closer look, I think the tradition that has the most sort of meticulous and the most detailed, or we could even say like the harshest in some way, way of dealing with it, or teaching it, or respecting it, is the Japanese Zen tradition. And if you practice in this Japanese Zen tradition, so for those of you, even if you haven't been here in Japan, so I guess in your own place there, wherever you practice, there is, you know, that there is this feeling of etiquette and form, respecting all the rules, etc., etc. And coming back to my friend who spent a few years in Japan, and he was working for, I think, 5 or 6 years in one of the temples here in Japan too. So he knows a lot of these etiquettes and rules and regulations, etc. It's not new for him. But recently, every time we talk, he's really critical of that, and he's kind of like somehow even rude to all this form aspect of the tradition, and he sort of emphasizes the pureness of we could say the essential part, or the pureness of practice, or we could say the spirit of practice, the essence of practice, and sort of wanting to get rid of all bowing and chanting and how you move, how you offer incense, how you, of course, how you bow, how you make, how you fold your hands together, all these things that are part of this tradition. He's really sort of, I wouldn't say negligent, but I would say kind of very critical of that. And we talked about it many times. And I've been thinking about this problem of the essence and form. And I believe, at least in my experience, I felt it too, not even once, being here in Japan, but also when I started practice long time ago in my country. So all of it sort of, it appeared to me kind of really unnecessary thing to do, or kind of like, why do I have to do it? I could do it in a much simpler way. Why do I have to bow like to the cushion or to all other people, as we do here when we instruct the sitting every time we practice? But you know, I want to meditate. Why do I have to do all these things? Why do I have to wear all these robes? And so sometimes I think most of us Westerners, if I could say it in this way, those who are non-Japanese people, or have this mindset that I want to do things my way, or I don't need all this form. I don't need this and that. We don't need it. It's waste of time, waste of money, and you know, I want only the essential part. But actually, it's not so true. And in most cases, when you deal with people here in Japan, in most cases, most of monks here, priests who are priests in Japan, most of them were born in the temple, because their fathers were the abbots of this or that temple. And in many cases, I wouldn't say in most cases, but in many cases, they were not, or still they are not interested in Buddhist practice at all, because they treat it as occupation. As my occupation would be, for example, to be working in a post office, or your occupation would be to work, I don't know, as a milkman maybe, or a firefighter, whatever you call it. So this is your occupation, this is your job. So exactly in the same way, you become a priest to work, to make it as your job. So you might not like it, and many of them don't actually. You don't like it. You would like to do any other thing. So we have this romantic idea, at least people in the West, that every time when we see a Buddhist, well, actually it should be like that. If you are a Buddhist priest, this is your path, this is the way how you live, and this is your life actually. But in many cases it's not like that, and it's sort of only a job thing. And we don't realize that, and sometimes those people who are born in the temple and now they have to wear robes which they don't like. They have to shave their heads, which they don't like. They have to follow a certain etiquette, being here in this cultural area which is called Japan, which they don't like. So there are many things on the form level that really they hate a lot. They don't like it, and it's a kind of a really problematic thing for many of them. But on the other hand, when you don't have container in the form of how you move, the physical movement, or in the form of how you arrange your room, and what kind of voice do you produce, etc., which is all really strictly regulated, then it's really difficult, as my friend from France used to say, when he emphasizes only the essential part, it's really difficult to carry on the essence, because it's sort of, it has no container. So without container, you cannot do anything with this form, with the essence, I'm sorry. You have to put it somewhere. So that's why you put it in the way how you move, or you put it, or you show it in the way how you behave, or what things you have in your room, etc., etc. All these details here, all these detailed aspects of your daily life. Even I'm not even talking about monastery, this religiosity, etc. So this, how to balance form and essence, and is really actually a big issue, and a big sort of task to resolve within our practice for most of them, or for anyone. At least for me, it was like that. So it still is. How to balance the form and essence. Because sometimes you can have only form, as I mentioned, with people who don't like it. They do it only as a kind of a job-like thing to do in their temple. So there is no essence at all sometimes, but a beautiful form. So the more beautiful you look, people respect you more. Or maybe you have more colorful clothes, your head is shining for every ceremony, it's, you know, you're well shaved, etc., etc. You look very good. You have a beautiful monastery. You have lots of, you know, flowers here and there. You have, you know, you are an expert in tea ceremony, calligraphy, etc., etc. But it's all form without this essence aspect. It's kind of empty thing. But on the other hand, if you have only essence and you say, oh, I don't need this, I don't need that, I can sit in wearing Rolling Stone t-shirt, for example. Or I don't need to shave, for example, if you are a priest, for example, because I can do it with, like, I can have it like dreads or dreadlocks on my head or something. But it doesn't work like that, because when you have the essence, which can be your self-discipline, your truthfulness, your moral conduct, these are all the essence part. And at the same time, you have this form, which is, well, in my case, for example, you can have Buddhist robes or shaved heads, etc., etc. But it doesn't have to be only this priestly thing. You can have your own regular uniform, whatever it is in your daily life. So if I try to come here, for example, and I will wear a Rolling Stone t-shirt, which basically, personally, I don't mind. Maybe some of you would, but at the same time, the mind, how it functions, wearing a Rolling Stone t-shirt and sitting on a cushion, and the mind, how it functions when I wear, for example, Buddhist robe and sit on a cushion, is completely different. So on the one hand, you can feel enslaved with form. You can say, I don't like it, we don't need it, we just, let's get rid of all this Japanese culture, etc., etc. We don't need it. Let's make it my own way. So this is one thing. You could think like that. But at the same time, you have too formalized thing, without essence at all. Too formalized thing. So then again, it's like empty shape only. So all the time we have to balance with this and this, and maybe the when you make it into one, and then how you look, how you move, what language you speak, when it itself reflects the Dharma, reflects your practice, even if you don't have to be aware of that, then this is maybe the ideal part. But when we have this Western mindset approach and Eastern mindset approach, so for the West, for the people in the West, this sort of things are obvious, or we think this is how things should be done, and we want to change it this or that way. But at the same time, if we talk to Japanese people or Chinese people, for them, what we do is barbarian. What are you saying? So when you take part in a ceremony here, in Buddhist ceremony, lots of bowing, lots of really, I could say, unnecessary etiquette. Why are they doing it? You have to pay money, which when you come to a temple, even if you are a monk, and then they give you back this money. So why do you give it to them in the first place, you could ask? And all these kind of illogical things, irrational things that you say, whoa, it's so complicated, we don't need it. We could say like that. But at the same time, pureness, blah blah blah, whatever, Zen kind of thing. Well, these are two extremes, and you have to make it sort of balance them, not to fall into this or that. So this is the thing that we have to do in our practice too, when we when we practice in this tradition. So at the same time you can be enslaved in form, but at the same time you, or at least I, realize that without form there is no essence, because there is no container to carry it, to show it to others, to express it in this or that way. It's kind of becomes like nihilistic at some point. So these two sort of aspects, at least of what I have been speaking to my friend, whom I mentioned in the beginning, is a really serious thing, and it's really something that we need to work with in our daily practice. Not even in a monastery sort of, or kind of like Zen center environment place, but in our daily practice too, within our family, within our friends. All these regulations, rules, which felt really sort of kind of disturbing or enslaving us, but at the same time finding freedom within them. Or once we find freedom within them, then they are not rules anymore, not sort of like stiff, strict kind of regulations at all. And then we can sort of move freely within their boundaries, we could say. Like with riding on a bike, for example. In the very beginning, when you ride a bicycle, for example, you have to. This is a pedal. This is another pedal. These are brakes, and then this is your right hand, right leg. This is your left leg. Then you have to do it like this. Then otherwise you would just fall off the bike. So no, don't do it like that. You need some stick, maybe. You need your dad or your mom who pushes you from behind. You have all these things, and you think about it. No, this is, or with car too. Like, oh, this is red light, right light. You have these winkers here. You have this, that. You have to look here. You have to look. It's all complicated. How can you do it? If you have someone who has never seen a bike or a car or bicycle, whatever, like how can you do it? It's so troublesome. What's fun about that? But when you practice it and when you learn to do it, all these regulations, you don't think about them. You don't think them. They become you. But at the same time, you don't transcend these rules. That's why you don't you don't cause an accident. Well, some people do. But in most cases, we don't. If we don't drink, if we are concentrating on what we do, we don't. In the same way with riding on a bicycle. So the law, or we could say the order itself, becomes our path. Or the form becomes our path. And then there's no me and the path and the form. But the form is the path. And ultimately speaking, I'm the way, I'm the path itself. How I move, how I talk. If I meet people, I know how I should behave, and it doesn't come from my kind of like oh, now I should do this or that, or no, I should behave this or that. It's in kind of like neurotic mindset. No, I naturally know how I should behave, what I should do, etc. So it's not a problem anymore. It's not a boundary. But it becomes the area where we can practice, when we can express ourselves, when we can develop, when we can move on, which is actually boundless. Boundless, but at the same time, we need these sort of detailed things to move within the field. So that's why the essence and form aspect of our practice is really something that we should work with on our cushion and off our cushion. So anyway, I'm sorry for this lengthy kind of talk, but this is what I sort of recall coming here, what my friend told me, so I thought I can share with you. So let's sit together. And so coming back to this form once again, so maybe I will stand and show you once again. So when we have the cushion here, so what do you do when you come to the cushion? First you bow in front of the cushion, then you turn clockwise and you bow, and you do it even if you are sitting alone in your room. So you might say, I'm doing it now because you are there on the other side of the camera, or there are many people here. No, actually I'm here, I'm alone, there are no people sitting with me. So you have this, again, form aspect of doing it, whether you're at home, whether there are people or not, whether you're working, whether you're practicing with your wife, with your partner, with your kids, with your dog, whatever, you do it first. So the first part, you make a bow to the cushion, and once again you turn and you make a bow to in the opposite direction, and then you sit. So please take the most comfortable position that you that the environment you are in, as I cannot see you, allows you to, whether it's a full lotus or half lotus. The cushion I'm sitting on now is really slippery, so if I do it with full lotus, I will slip down on this floor. So I have to do something about that. So please be careful what you are sitting on to feel comfortable, so that you could spend 30 minutes or 40 minutes, no matter how much you practice within one round, and you sort of wouldn't have to fix your position all the time. So take a comfortable position without hurrying up. So taking part of this form, right? And not sort of hurrying up to, oh no, okay, this is form, but now I'm starting to meditate. So now until this point we had this form thing. Okay, now it's done. I don't need it. Now now I will have the essence, meditation. It doesn't work like that. How you sit is what your essence is, actually. So if you have crooked form, you will have a crooked essence, we could say. So take good time, enough time, and take care of your physicality, of the environment that you are sitting in. Okay, without not treating it as an introduction to meditation or something. Okay, and then when you sit straight, how you feel, then your ears are aligned with your shoulders, and your nose is aligned with your navel. You breathe through your stomach. Okay, and then you put first you put the right hand on your lap, and then you put the left hand on your right hand, and you touch two thumbs. Also take care of this form here, this mudra. Yes, we call it cosmic mudra, or whatever you call it. Whether it looks like that or it looks like that. So, well, if you don't sit in front of the mirror, you cannot see it, but be trying to, and it's really difficult actually, because even if you think you sit straight, so actually you sit like that, or maybe you sit like that, so you can't see it, but so make sure that the shape of your hands reflect the shape of your mind. Some teachers say like that. If it's aligned, relaxed, at the same time your mind is aligned, harmonized, and relaxed. If it's like that, so then at the same time, it's an obvious sign that you're sleepy, your mind is lax, and you are all somewhere there. But if you are really sitting, all your muscles tense and sort of, you know, so then again, you can see it it can be seen in the way how you hold your hands. And even if you heard about it millions of times, and I said it millions of times too, but at the same time, when I sit here and I've been talking to you about it for I think already 5 years or something, and it's all the time again and again, right? But at the same time, it's so new. It's so new. It feels so new. Now you have to take care of your hands. And we meet in 1 week time, and then again, I will say the same thing. Now you have to take care of your hands. And then we meet in spring, now you have to take care of your hands. In summer, now you have to take care of your hands, etc., etc. All right? And when you sit, you can make a few movements from left to right. As I said, I don't want to move because the cushion is slippery, so I will slip on the floor. But if your cushion is comfortable, you can sway a few times, even 10, 20 times. And when you come back to the central position, let's stay for 20 or 25 minutes sitting in stillness and silence together. join your hands together and make a bow. Then before you stand up, you can put your hands on your knees and sway a few times from left to right. Then when you're ready, you can unfold your legs. Make sure you can feel them. And before you stand up, make sure that the cushion you are sitting on is fixed. And when you stand in the way as we did it in the beginning, one bow in front of the cushion, then turn clockwise, one bow to in the opposite direction. Thank you for joining today. And as I said, this was the first meeting this year. Thank you for joining wherever you are in America, Mexico, Canada, Europe. I hope you enjoyed it and sit together with me. And the next meeting will take place very soon, next week on Friday, the 3rd of February, already February. So I hope to be here and share this time with you together. Have a nice weekend and have a good week. Take care of yourselves, stay healthy, and see you next time. Thank you for joining.